expand and go to the next level. And when you're treated well, it's going to show in your reign when you're treated well. And as you can see, you know, I thoroughly enjoyed myself as Miss International Vogue. It was because they allowed me to be myself, and they were themselves, and I knew what my job was. And let me tell you something, Keytrick, you know, is maybe, 9, 7, like that, but he don't, they don't, him and James, so they don't play about their system. They don't play. So it was never, it was, I saw Keetrick go off a couple of times, not on me. I seen him go off a couple of times, and I was like, I don't want to see that side. So I did everything that I could to never have to see that side of him, because I respected the system just like he respected it, and I wanted it to work just like he wanted to work. And then what really made everything gel and work was having the Andre, having a king. Because let me tell you something, when you win Mr. and Miss pageants, it's not going to always work out. It's not going to always work out at all. And I had that incident when I was Miss Continental. It just did not work out. And when DeAndre came in, it was like we were able to have a conversation, which we already knew each other already, but we had never been king and queen before. We were able to have a conversation, and when I say a conversation, one conversation, and I was able to say what I wanted to do, what I liked, and this and that and that, the other, and he took it from there. He knew what my strengths and weaknesses were, and at any point in time where it was something that he took on that, and he made this, and he would come to me when there were things that he was weak in, areas he was weak in. He would come to me for that. Hey, queen, woo, 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 and he would put that on me. And then if somebody needed a packet or some email to them, oh, king, email this person the packet, because I ain't have time. I ain't have time. I don't have time for it. At that time, I'm working 2 jobs. I'm Miss International Queen, Miss International. I'm like, girl, I ain't got time to be emailing no packets and this, that. So, that made it that is what made it phenomenal. But most importantly, it was the fact that they were eager for constructive criticism. They never let anybody run them over or anything like that. Never. But anything that they could do to help improve the system, they were willing to give it a try. And that was what made Vogue and Florida Baddest Bitch, for me, my 2 pageants that I really, and I know a lot of you all may be surprised or shocked that I would say those 2, but it would be those 2 out of all the pageants that I won. It would be those 2. It was more, well, Baddest Bitch was more of my humble beginnings, and then Vogue was me and who I am now. And so I'm able to appreciate them both for at 2 different times in my life. Worst reigns, pageants, I won't do that. But do know I do have. But I don't feel like it. That's something that I do on a YouTube channel. I won't go there now, but I will, because it's my experience. It's all about your person. It don't mean nothing. It don't mean, because I've won stuff that people had phenomenal experiences, and then I've won some things where people didn't have phenomenal experiences. So it's just all about, whatever. What was the hardest title to have? The hardest title to have was the hardest title to have. I have to tie Miss International Queen and Continental. I have to tie those 2, because winning Miss Continental, being in my 20s, I really got to learn the industry when I was Miss Continental. That was when I got to learn the good, the bad, and the ugly of the industry. I got to learn that people will build you up to get to this point, and then when you get to this point, if you sneeze wrong, they're tearing you down, tearing you down, tearing you down, tearing you down. And that was very difficult for me to adjust to. You know, when you're Miss Continental, you're under the microscope of the entire country. And you know, and I had some experiences where some people they showed me their true colors when I was Miss Continental. So that was a very difficult reign for me to get through sometimes. But I got through it, and it was well worth it. But like I said, there were some people throughout that time. But I had a fabulous time as Miss Continental. I went so many places. I met so many people. Like it was my first time going out of the country. All of that. Like I went out of the country twice when I was Miss Continental, and I went to Hawaii all in that same year. All of that was fabulous. It was just absolutely fabulous. And some of you all know the backstories of some of the foolishness that I dealt with, you know, then. But as far as the experience of being Miss Continental, oh my gosh, yes, loved it. And then being Miss International Queen. Being Miss International Queen was very difficult for me because, first of all, being the first black person, that was a huge responsibility. And I this is the first time I've kind of said this publicly, but I felt like they only viewed that I felt like I was only beautiful if I presented a certain way. If I had hair down my back, you know, if I was resembling, you know, Naomi Campbell or something like that, I felt like that was the only time that they saw my beauty. You know, sometimes I fought. Trust me, I fought it, but I didn't feel like I got the same response when I did my low haircut and things like that. And I got on to them about it. Trust me, I got on to them about it. But it's very difficult when you're no longer, see, as Miss Continental, you're being watched around the United States and in some of Europe and stuff like that. But when you win Miss Continental, all LGBT communities around the world are watching you, and they're criticizing you. Some are loving you, some are not loving you. You know, and some people thought you should do this, some people thought you should do that. And sometimes I felt restricted. Sometimes there was sometimes I felt like I just needed to dress like a nun, you know, because I am pretty much the sexiest Miss International Queen. When I say sexiest, meaning, you know, curvaceous and bodied and all of that. I have the most out of all of them. So I felt like not only am I the black girl, I'm curvy at that. I'm about to get off here. I'm curvy at that and all of that, and so I had my insecurities. When I'm looking at all these extra thin girls, and might I add, you know, the majority of my Miss International Queen sisters are post-op. And when I say majority, I mean 99.9, no, I said 0.8, 99.8. There's only 2 of us that are not post-op. Out of all of us, there's only 2 that aren't post-op. And I can tell you this, I am the only one that still has everything. So that brought on, you know, insecurities and stuff, just feeling like, did I fit in? You know, I sometimes I had my moments where I didn't feel like I fit in. I didn't feel like I was, that I I didn't feel like it was just me getting in my own head. And that was it. It was just me getting into my own head, and I had to find my own. I had to learn how to appreciate my own looks and appreciate my own beauty, and realize that I was not a 100-pound, 90-pound, pale skinned Asian girl. That I'm just not. And so I had to do a lot of soul searching and self love and stuff throughout my reign as Miss International Queen. It just was a lot, and there was a lot that I dealt with. I dealt with hate mail. I had people to inbox me from different countries and say all kind of stuff. Call me a dog, and it was a lot, to take in sometime. But then they slowly started to come around, and that whole thing started to change, and they began to love me, because when I first won, they were posting all the pictures of me getting naked on show and stuff, which I'm like, you can go on YouTube and look up all of the videos, girl. That's what I do on show, and plus International Queen, they saw all that stuff before I won, so they knew. So those were my two hardest reigns, because, like I said, as Miss International Queen, being the first is very difficult. It's very difficult being the first. Yeah, but I got through it, and I had a great time as Miss International Queen. I really did, and they always treated me so nice. Anytime I was at a Miss International Queen event, and they always treated me like I was Beyonce. Yeah, Akeem, it's not about having an amazing body, but when you're see, over here in the United States, we're used to seeing Kim Kardashians and we're used to seeing those body types, but more so when you go to those Asian countries, they're more natural. They're more sample size. Some of the girls over there, a lot of the girls over there, they have work. They've been augmentated and stuff like that. But a lot of them are very thin, and nobody has breasts my size. Nobody. So, that makes me stand out. Like I said, on top of being black and everything, everything just made me stand out. And sometimes I felt like I was too much, and so that's why I would pick my wardrobe a certain type of way when I would go over there. I didn't want to hear them say, "Oh, too sexy" or something like that. I would always pick my wardrobe to be more conservative. And if you notice, like, most of the times I would always be covered. And it's so crazy because my give up dress ended up being completely sheer. Like, that dress, I was completely naked up under that dress. I had on duct tape, and I had on the nipple covers up under that dress, and it was completely see-through, but you couldn't tell because of how it was draped and layered and cut. You couldn't tell that, but I was naked. Do you feel like you held back a lot? Oh yeah, I held back a lot. I spoke on that the other day. Yeah, I'm about to turn my TV on. Yeah, I held back a lot from a lot of things. And I had a lot of people don't, like, I had a lot of responsibilities on me. I take care of my family. I pay all the bills, and I moved my family down here and everything. We're going to be moving apart in like a month or so. But for the last 2 years, I've been the sole provider for my family, and so those were responsibilities and stuff that I had as Miss International Queen, as Miss International Vogue, and all of that type of stuff. I couldn't just up and just go and just do things because, oh, I'm Miss International Queen and somebody want me here and want me there. If they weren't talking the right credentials and the right funds and stuff, monetary means, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So a lot of times I had to stay stationary. I had to stay working. So I couldn't what channel does the oh, I think it's Lifetime. Let me see. Oh, it can't be this channel. No. Hold on, I'm trying to see something. I'm coming. I'm trying to see something. And there goes my friend. Just getting here. I'm hungry. I think I'm gonna treat. You know what? I am gonna treat myself. It is Jazelle by Royal Day. I ain't gonna give me some Chipotle. What channel does this come on? What channel does it come on? Lifetime. That's what I'm just on.